welcome to this week's episode of Lagnapod. I'm Rob Holbert, your host. Sound off, folks. Let's have a roll call. Who's here today?
Scott Johnson.
Brady Petrie.
Kyle Hemrick.
Tommy Hicks.
Ashley Trice is on assignment right now. I don't know what that means. She's just out of the office. We're going to get this thing started. She may show up. So we have this week's cover story is exciting and strange because it is about the effort to set up a shark alert network, right?
Shark.
What is that?
What was that?
That's the sound that you'll hear
Is that a
when
shark?
your phone
Oh.
gets a message from the
I
state
didn't know if that
saying
was
that there is
some
a
kind of
shark.
strange shark noise there, but yeah, that
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the idea is to alert people, not to creep them out.
Yeah.
That's just going to creep people out.
There's a shark in the water, people.
it definitely is scary.
Oh yeah, but
So
there is.
this is being pushed by members of the legislature as
Yes.
well as at the federal level by U.S. Senator Katie Britt.
Right.
And it is a direct result of the young lady being attacked.
Yes,
from
last
the-
summer there was a teenage girl from Mountain Brook who was swimming at Rosemary Beach in Florida, and
She got one of those Florida sharks bit her.
Yes, one of those from Florida sharks got her, and she lost her left hand and her right leg. And since then, there has been a movement by Katie Britt for the past two years to get a mass notification system in place to alert people of shark attacks or like some unusual shark activity.
Unusual shark activity.
That is the language
Yes.
in a new bill that was put forward by a state representative from Mountain Brook last week
Yes.
that would basically do the exact same thing.
So,
Where-
I mean, I think it's safe to say, and I'm in no way disparaging this young lady's attack. I mean, it's a terrible thing. She definitely, was severely injured. But I would say it is safe to say that these efforts are coming from the outrage that maybe people have that she was attacked and that they feel
And fear.
and she had a pretty high she has pretty high profile at this point. I think she's bounced back pretty well from
she
her
is
attack,
doing
and
well. She's doing well.
and she's made a name for herself doing that.
Mhm.
So it's gotten a lot of notoriety, and there's an effort to do this. However,
But
the other shoe of this is, the folks down here who are more familiar with shark activity are kind of saying,
this ain't it.
Yeah.
They do not like it. The only local lawmaker who signed on to this bill as a co-sponsor was Chip Brown from Southern Mobile County.
That's the guy who never calls you, right?
Oh, no. That
No,
is
that's
Shane Stringer.
Oh, that's right. I'm
From Citronelle,
Sorry, I'm
who
trying
is
to figure-
also a co-sponsor.
Sorry,
of
I know there's some
this
people
bill,
who won't call you.
and he has.
Shane Stringer always answers me when I
Yeah,
call.
he
him.
texted
No,
me the
there's
other
just-
day.
I don't know. There's just something about.
I didn't mean to derail us here.
This is a
No,
very
we're
soft
getting
spot.
back on track. We're getting back on
This
track.
is a soft spot for Kyle.
Yeah.
Getting
that
back
means
on
that-
track. Getting back on track here.
I knew there was somebody who wasn't calling you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Chip Brown is in favor of this, but the other members of the delegation who have beaches and sharks in their districts,
Yes.
Francis Hope Jones,
Yes.
Chris Elliott, and David Sessions say this is a bad move and that this would create just pandemonium on the beaches every time.
Akin to Amity Island during Jaws when Chief Brody was just out there losing it, screaming, "Get out of the water!"
Shooting at the water,
shooting at bluefish.
shooting
Yes.
at bluefish.
That's what we're worried about.
Scared people to death.
Yes.
They say that's what will happen.
That was Jaws 1? Was that Jaws 1
That
or
was
2?
Jaws 1, yeah.
He
Yeah.
lost it in Jaws 2 too, as well. He got up on the
he
bell tower
lost
in
it
Jaws
often.
2. Yeah,
He lost it often.
Jaws 2. He was up on the shark tower ringing the bell. Yeah,
That's
was it.
right.
Which, I mean,
That's
if
right.
there's a...
So
if
we
there-
don't need that. Is what we're trying to avoid.
We don't need that, is what they're saying. They're saying that every time so basically this bill would send out like an amber alert for sharks or for unusual shark activity.
Be on the
Where-
lookout.
Amber alert! Someone has lost their shark. You were saying something,
Someone's
Scott.
Oh,
I'm
I was
sorry.
just saying, seeing as there are many sharks in the water, lots of sharks.
Theoretically,
Yeah,
yes.
This thing would either be going off all the time. I mean, how are they going to spot them? This sounds. Remember when they rolled out the prohibited persons database, Aaliyah,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, I
and the state legislator tasked Leah to put out this prohibited person so they can't have a firearm, so all the police know. And it was extremely more complicated than they ever thought it was going to be. And it was like years before they even rolled this out. And it took so many things. Right. It was so complicated. And kind of giving that, like, I don't think anybody realizes how hard this is going to be to actually do. And then, you know, what isn't even beneficial if it happens.
Yeah, not to place ourselves in the category of being shark experts here. You did speak to shark experts about this.
I did speak to a shark.
They had that particular
Dr.
individual,
Sean Powers,
had some misgivings about this concept as well, right?
Yes, he did. So he has no problem with letting the public know that somebody was bitten or attacked by a shark on Gulf Shores or Orange Beach or wherever. The problem he had with it is how lawmakers would define unusual shark activity.
Yes.
Because
that's like a shark in your back seat when you get in the car. Yeah,
shark
following you down the
tap
street,
dancing on the beach,
falling out of the sky, you know,
shark in the sky,
shark on you, whatever, something there,
right?
Yeah,
right. Because since 1837 in this state, there have only been 10 attacks by sharks.
Yes, as you say, unprovoked attacks. Because the provoked attack is when you go out there and poke at the shark and ask him,
right?
Basically, come on,
when
dude.
You're asking for it.
That's like a Tony Kinnan thing. He's out there, right? Right. He gets out and provokes the shark.
There's a separate file.
Like, out of my town, shark.
Right.
And,
right.
Not in this small town.
Not that small town. Yeah. But 10...
Well, he punched a shark in a video we did.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. That was one unprovoked one on a shark.
Yeah.
So, but 10
I think that was a shark
attacks.
at the Floribama, which it would be unusual shark activity.
Right.
Yes.
Right, it would be. So, I mean, it is exceedingly rare for a shark to attack a person. However, it is not rare to see one just swimming around on the beach or off your pier.
Well, if you have ever been, as you point out, somebody, I think maybe it's Chris Elliott or somebody was saying they were flying,
right.
They were in an airplane and flying along and you could see sharks everywhere. I mean,
they're not far off.
I have had an experience one time of being up in one of the taller condos at the very top of the condo.
Wow.
And you could definitely see sharks all along the beach, off the breakers. I mean, basically right outside the sandbar, where the breakers are,
right
back there.
That's where they live.
There were a lot of sharks. I was just, it was like, wow, there's a whole bunch of them. And, that's where they are. They live there. And
that's their home.
So
I've been saying that for years.
But I mean, if you were in a circumstance where you were flying along and saw, like the guy pulling the ad down the beach every day.
Right.
I mean, would he be dialing 311 saying, look, we got shark activity here? Yeah, saying shark, we got sharks, I can see them, whatever that is. Yeah, I think that noise alone would keep us from doing this. But if that's going to be the official sound of the shark warning, I'm totally against it. But
there's some issues that they need to work out here.
Well, I think Frances Holt Jones was saying she thought that this could be a real panicky situation with hurt business. I mean, she's taking on the role of the alderman at Amity, the Amity mayor and alderman.
Right.
Like, no,
this is bad for business.
It's bad for business. There's no sharks out there.
This will close the restaurants. Right. This will close the condos. That was her whole
we got to make all our money on the 4th of July. We're not shutting this thing down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some problems that people have with it. There's some questions that have to be worked out with it. It's not gone to a committee yet in the House.
Yeah.
There's like 13 days left in the session, so it could get some movement. But judging from the conversations that I have with some of the local people in the House, it's going to be something that's going to be worked on.
But in theory, this would be a circumstance that if it was to come into being, that your phone would go off and alerting you that there's shark activity.
And you need to get out now. You need to skedaddle.
Ashley has joined us.
Hey,
yes.
Can it have the music from Jaws play?
It should be like...
Yes, it should.
Or just have Chief Brody screaming, "Get out of the water!" Yeah. Get out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a. I understand. I'm sure it's a well-meaning bill, but I think probably by people who don't know anything about sharks and think that, or don't understand, they're frequently, you see sharks.
They are here
often. And I mean,
this is where they live.
Or dolphins that sometimes people think are sharks.
Or a cobia.
You can, if you see a cobia, you would think probably that's a shark. A lot of times people would see that. Yeah. And I mean, certainly, I've been around people plenty of times when a dolphin's fin has stuck up and they're like, oh my God. Like, easy. It's just flipper, not jaws.
Right.
But, it seems like it would be difficult to keep this thing under control and not have it constantly going off, especially if people become really vigilant about it, or really like, I want to be the first one to call in that shark.
First one to save the day. And that's what I asked these lawmakers and the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. And they said, we're still working on that, how to verify these things, how to find what's real and what's not.
And and to identify unusual shark activity.
Yeah, they are still working through these issues.
Because most activity by sharks is shark activity.
Yeah, yeah.
It is. Yeah, not just regular shark activity. It's standard shark activity.
Standard
like
shark
feeding
formation.
frenzies, standard. Yes. Swimming along, standard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Looking at things to eat, standard. That's what that's
stick fin above the water, standard.
Those are all standard things. I don't know what would be atypical, but maybe we'll get those things identified.
Hopefully.
Through this coverage, I learned that the fine people of Gold Shores and Orange Beach refer to their cities as islands.
Yeah, they do.
And I will start a civil war.
They don't refer to their cities as islands, Scott. They are on an island. That there is an island. That is an island. Pleasure Island.
Yes. The Ile de Plaisir.
Welcome to Mobile.
French.
I mean, but is it an island?
It is an island.
I'm stumped.
Yes.
But
two bridges.
Yeah.
So Orange Beach.
It is surrounded by water.
So Orange Beach.
The Intracoastal Waterway comes along all the way.
But that is the argument. The Intracoastal Waterway separates it.
It is an island. It's surrounded by water. I don't know what else to tell you.
But isn't that man-made?
No.
The Intercoastal Waterway?
No, it's intracoastal, first of all. It's not intercoastal.
Got to get the R and the A. I put myself on a target.
This is unusual reporter activity right here. Anyway,
asking the important questions
Scott
here.
Is a shark.
We'll have a whole we'll have a little lesson on islands a little later. But I don't think there's like some minimum amount of water they have to be surrounded by. It's it's surrounded by water island. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about some basketball with Tommy Hicks.
Town, Lanyard Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lanyard Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local troops on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lanyard Daily. Get signed up now at lanyardmobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Whoa, down in our Alabama town, Lanyard Daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lanyard Daily, every single morning, catching up on
we are
stories
back
while the coffee's
in the middle of March Madness here. There is much March sadness. March sadness. So we're not going back to the island thing. We're not talking about the islands anymore. Scott's still fighting that one. He's still battling that one.
I'm just so perplexed here.
Yeah, let's not talk about it anymore. You're just digging a deeper hole, much like my team has done.
Your bracket?
My brackets.
Your brackets?
I don't know. I think my bracket, at least last time I checked, I was in second place.
Yeah.
For our bracket here.
For ours.
The other ones that I've been in are dismal. They're really dismal. But
I think I'm way back. I think I'm like at 6 or 7.
Has anybody done anything that they were? I mean, did anybody make a prediction they were pretty excited about? Thought was good. I did get the McNeese thing over Clemson.
Yeah, I got that one too. Yeah.
I thought that Bryant would do a lot better than they did.
You did,
but I was
your money riding on Bryant was oddly enough. It was oddly enough not.
I thought
it didn't work out.
I thought that the Bulldogs would have fought a little harder than they did, but I was gravely disappointed.
Well, they did come within 20, right? Is that what you said? What was the line on that? Like 17?
17 and a half.
So they didn't even.
The line on that was
they didn't do as well as they didn't do as well as they had even hoped.
No, and not to just double down on Kyle there, but I think it was a 25.
Not his only
25 point
Final Four
loss.
team no longer in existence.
Okay, so here we are.
So I'm going to offer today an opportunity for everyone to redo your picks. We have the Sweet 16. You can make your selections on who is actually there. No Bryant's.
Yeah, you may want to. You certainly. I think everybody else here probably has. Has anybody here lost a Final Four candidate that they had?
I have not.
No,
I mean, you have certainly, Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle has. Ashley, you've lost one. Who was yours that you lost? Wisconsin. You're not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a cheesy pick.
I'm content with mine. I've only so far I have every Sweet 16 team except for one. So
there you go.
I'll take that.
Boy.
You know.
Well, we're going to start with you, Mr. Smarty Pants.
I must be doing pretty good because I'm up there with you.
You are. You're up there with me.
All right, we're going to let both of y'all go first.
I'm sticking with what I got. I'm staying with what I got.
I'm staying.
Auburn, Michigan.
Well, Auburn. Yeah.
Auburn.
Yeah.
That's what I've got.
Ole Miss, Michigan State.
Give me the Spartans.
I got the Spartans on that too. Yeah.
Florida, Maryland.
Florida. Easily.
Texas Tech, Arkansas.
Yeah, see, this was the lone mess up on mine. I had St. John's going further.
I did too.
That one really hurt me.
Too.
I did too.
I think I did.
I'm going to go with Arkansas. I mean, I can't go against Calipari.
Okay, on the other side of the bracket, you ready? I'm not, because I'm trying to find it.
Possibly.
Kentucky, Tennessee.
Oh, I'm going Tennessee. That's who I've stuck
All
with.
right.
So
Houston, Purdue.
Houston.
BYU, Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Duke, Arizona.
It pains me to say it, but Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that, UNC boy?
I know it hurts, but you got to do what you got to do.
All right, since you're the other Smarty Pants in the
I don't know what I have. I can't even.
Well, that's okay. We're going to let you go next.
Find my list.
We'll start you over here. Duke, Arizona. Who are you going with?
I don't want to go against. Hold on. I don't want to go against my list. Here we go. I've got it now. Let's find you. Where are we?
I'm sure the listeners are.
It's good. Okay,
There's nothing more exciting than listening to other people discuss their brackets.
So I've got. I'm going to run through it. I've got Auburn, Michigan State, Florida, Texas Tech, Duke, Alabama, Houston, and Tennessee.
All right.
There we go. Yeah. Those are my picks.
So you're standing by what you've gone with originally.
I'm standing by them. Stand by my men.
Except I had St. John, so I'm going to go with Arkansas in that over Texas Tech. But other than that, I've got everybody still alive. Florida. I'm going to pick Michigan State over Ole Miss and Auburn over Michigan.
So there's not a lot of big surprises in this tournament.
No,
so far. Yeah, not very.
Certainly
exciting.
not a Bryant.
Well, on that note, I do have to clarify something Kyle said. He said he had 2 teams left in it. He has 1 team left in it that makes the Final Four.
Okay, so
3 out of his Final Four.
Final Four.
Yeah.
Who's his other one? He lost Gonzaga.
You may want to go ahead and bring that roll of Canadian quarters in. Look, once it becomes the 51st state, they're going to be legal U.S. tender. It'll be fine.
Well, I'm thinking right now it might be more valuable.
Might be. Could be.
Put a tariff on it.
Give us, right. Tariff those quarters. All right, we're moving on off of the basketball. We also have big news for Murphy this week.
We did. Finally, the team that had to hire a coach sooner than anyone else finally got around to doing it. They hired Sherman Williams as their head coach, which I think is an interesting selection.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
thank you, Kyle, for restraining yourself from making a paint. He did.
I'm sure he was about to, but the only because the microphone's not near him.
The wheels were turning.
So Sherman Williams, obviously, people who remember him, he was a great running back for the University of Alabama.
Yep.
He was also a running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
He had the distinction of being behind Emmitt Smith, so he didn't get a lot of playing time.
Not a lot of playing time available.
Yeah, mostly just cleanup work at the time. Yeah, the one or two series a game that Emmitt didn't play all three downs every single time. But so he didn't get a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
And he ran into a little bit of trouble with the law.
A little legal issue.
Yeah. And so he ended up in jail for 14 years?
14.
Yeah. And so now, but he's getting his life back together. He's gotten his life back together.
Yes.
And so
he appears to have. Yes.
Now head coach at Murphy. So, I mean, I think it's great for him that he's done that. And obviously, a guy like him probably has a lot he can teach young men.
Yep. And that was, part of the quote from the principal in hiring him, is that he felt like he would have a great impact on the team and in the community. And I'm sure that he will. It's just kind of, I think the thing that comes into question is he has no previous coaching experience beyond volunteer coaching. He volunteer coached at Blount, where he played. He also was a volunteer or assistant at Williamson for a short time because he was a substitute teacher there.
So it's a big leap.
But it's a big leap. I mean, never been a head coach. He's in Region 6 with Saraland, Spanish Fort, McGill, Gulf Shores. I mean, there's some Saraland, of course. Yeah. There's a lot of really good teams in that
so he's got
region. He's going to have his hands
he's got his hands full for sure.
To get and they went 0-10 last year. So
he can't do any worse.
No, you can't. You
can only go up. Can go up from there. Yeah.
So
I'm just trying to put it.
I think the interesting part would be how he develops his staff, who he brings in. I mean, one of the things he did, that he can do that other people can't do. He listed a lot of people. He says, I played on a national championship team with Dabo Sweeney, and we talk.
Right.
He's Gene Stallings. I mean, he's got the whole list of all the people that he can lean into him. Emmett is right there.
Emmett's right here.
I mean, he could lean on a lot of different people, and that's going to be something that will help him, I think, in the long run.
If he hires the right folks around him, he'd probably do fine.
It would make a great movie.
It would. Yes, it would. It may be the stuff of maybe Tommy Hicks can write that movie. Maybe.
Probably not.
Never know.
No.
All right. Well, that's exciting. We'll see what goes on with him and how it works out. And thanks, Tommy. We appreciate it. We will take a quick break, folks, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about what's in the paper this week.
Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
And we are back. So we got some info the other day. Scott got some info dropped on him about potentially some problems with the contracts over, between AlDOT and the people that were supposed to be building the Bayway, right? And then we found out basically right now it seems like the bridge, the I-10 bridge project is in a little bit of trouble right now, at least on a hiatus right at this moment.
Yeah.
Although AlDOT says no, it's full speed ahead.
Everything's okay. Fine. Yeah, we were provided an email between some vendors where they were basically saying that the Bayway project, and the project can be split up with bridge and Bayway. So the Bayway portion of the project is on halt, frozen. We don't know what's happening.
And they told everybody, get your stuff, get out. I mean, the porta potty guy, pull your stuff out. Yeah. They were all on there. Everybody.
Yeah. Moving out.
Kyle went down there and saw a barge with big drills on it that were parked. Pulled out of the water. So
not working.
And we went back and forth with the AlDOT people for several hours trying to figure out.
Their first reaction to it was that that we were being misled and that nothing had happened. Right?
Yeah, that it was absolutely untrue.
This was sort of like a sort of the way, I guess that's the way things run these days. The first thing to do is just deny that anybody
just flatly deny.
Just that's wrong. You're wrong.
Totality.
Yeah.
That's not true.
And so, I mean, the more we asked about it, the more information we got. And so it was just like we kept coming back to them and be like, okay, well, what about this? And then again in denial. And
we have an email here that says.
Yeah. It wasn't until I actually forwarded them the email that I said we were about to print showing, that they were like, hey, we're going to give you some context to what this is actually saying. What it was actually saying is that the contractor that they have with the project, they mutually agreed to split ways. That they couldn't agree to a final, I don't really know all the specifics there, but there's a design build agreement that they were supposed to finalize, and they couldn't reach that benchmark, or they couldn't reach that, passageway. So they agreed to part ways. Up until now, it's just been geological testing for pilings for that portion of the project. And, so as of now, that Mobile Bayway Constructors, which is a conglomerate of these road builders that got together to bid on the project, they're out. And what it looks like is that Kiewit, how do you say it?
Kiewit, Massman, and Trailer.
Yeah,
they're a firm from the Midwest.
They're tasked with building a bridge. What it looks like is that they're kind of the next up to just
may take the whole thing,
slide over and just slide in and pick up where they left off. I think there's some questions as to what is going to be what is going to be able to be salvaged from the work already done. In terms of testing, what I understand is that if there's a test complete and filed and reported on, that's okay. But I don't know, there might be a little bit of rework where if they were in the middle of a project, I don't foresee another contractor coming in and picking up on the data that was already in progress. But so we don't know exactly when work is going to be continuing out there. But right as of now, everything's kind of docked and on hold.
I think this was met locally by a giant sigh of, okay, here we go. I mean, I think there's just definitely a level among most people around here, a level of feeling of like, this thing's never going to get done. It's just, it is I can't imagine this helps them stay on the project, stay on timeline of breaking ground by the end of the year, as they've said. I mean, it would sound to me, at least if they've got to do some of this stuff, if the other group does slide in there, there's going to be a significant amount of work that they're going to have to do. I mean, they're taking on a whole big part of the project they didn't have. It would just stand to reason that there's probably going to be some delay. Now, that may not be delay on groundbreaking. If groundbreaking is we're going to build the bridge first and we'll figure all that stuff out as we go along. I don't know what how they had planned to do it, or if we're going to build from two ends and meet in the middle type thing, like the Transcontinental Railroad or something. But I don't know.
It'd be a foot off from each other.
Yeah, right. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. Big S curve in the middle of it. There's I don't know. It does bring in some, I think it's frustrating at some point, as Ashley said before we got on here. We've been writing about this since we started this paper almost 23 years ago now. It has been something we've talked about.
It's just a punchline at this point.
It is. Yeah. I mean, most people, I mean, granted, not, usually the biggest rays of sunshine are not the ones who comment online, but I'm going to be dead before this happens.
That was the comment.
The comment, it's basically you're going to throw my ashes off the bridge when it gets built. So
that and no tolls.
No tolls. Yeah, there's always somebody who just says no tolls. Yeah, I know, but anyway, it's the other part about it, of course, that is still up in the air is the funding. We've got it's like a $3.5 billion project, and we have less than $1 billion worth of financing that is locked in. Right. So at this point, I think AlDOT is looking at hopefully trying to get a federal loan. Is that the situation?
Right, for 49% of the cost of the project.
Okay, so that would still not get us where we need to be.
Not quite.
Yeah, so
not presently.
So food stamps. Not food stamps. Green stamps. So the old thing. Green stamps. That's old. That's old school. We're
gonna need some box tops for education.
We're gonna need save your beer tabs. I don't know what we're gonna do. It just seems like there's and of course with the cuts going on in Washington, it's still. I mean, I don't know what what's what. Nobody knows what's what. Is some of what's been promised already going to be on a chopping block? I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but it seems like everything's kind of right now being. There's a lot of uncertainty about what happens. So I don't know. That's definitely one that it's going to be another. It's another little blow, I think, just in terms of getting there. What else we got going on this week?
We got beaver protests, right?
Beaver protests. It wasn't much of a protest, huh?
Yeah, there was nobody dressed up as the furry critters, and there was about only 3 or 4 people at the. There was a sign.
So this is for the folks who are not aware of what the beaver issue is in Mobile. Their beavers have been blocking up these storm drains, right?
Correct. Yeah, around 25 or so locations throughout the city. But the city council actually passed this 2 weeks ago, and now people are protesting it.
People are upset, but you thought there may be a larger protest.
I thought so, and I was very hopeful that there would be a large protest.
I would think more people would support saving beavers.
I would think so as well, but there were only 4 or 5 people at the council meeting, and it just kind of fizzled out. They basically just said, hey, please don't kill the beavers, and afterwards they spoke to the animal services people with the city, and that was that. So
Julie did it. Mobilians don't like beavers.
Well, maybe the more enthusiastic supporters got caught in a dam on their way over here.
God.
Yeah, perhaps,
and they just couldn't make it.
Yeah, that's good. He had to supplement the paint joke for this. Yeah,
I don't know what we're talking about. All this paint.
Anyway, other issues that are out there right now. The whole issue of shutting down Big Creek Lake to recreational use has been something that it's become a hot topic. You got a lot of folks out in West Mobile who feel like they've had something that they've had their whole life, to fish and boat on and do all that has been taken away from them. Shane Stringer is a state rep, is fighting to have a new law put in where utilities can't just shut down lakes that they own. And so where are we on this thing? Malls, by the way, says, hey, we got to protect the drinking water.
Yeah.
So,
which, I mean, it's so strange because Moz announced in February that they were just completely shutting it down. Right. They've always cited the invasive species as the reason.
Giant Salvinia.
It's a huge weed that grows in the
Salvinia.
water.
And how it does it? I mean, this is.
I hear it makes the water taste sweeter. That's what I hear.
When you get makes you salivate.
When you get into their release and their announcement, I mean, there's maybe they've addressed it in the past, but they've never described exactly what's changed, why it's changed, and why their decision right now is going to fix that. And
they do say that they've been unable to get it under control.
Yeah,
and how that is made worse by fishing, and obviously their feeling is that it was introduced in some way. It's an invasive species, so somehow it was introduced. I mean, I think always with these types of circumstances, people worry about somebody having their boat somewhere, and then they take it out of there, and they move it into this other body of water, and there's something on the boat that drops off and starts breathing.
Or I think some fishermen actually throw the grass in.
Yeah, that's what I've heard in my past. I used to work for the power company.
Okay,
briefly, that's and a problem
so
that they had
for the power company.
That didn't come up in the job interview.
a problem.
I don't think that was on his resume.
I don't remember hearing that. I remember seeing that.
It was an internship, a summer internship. But anyway, a problem that they had with the lakes, like for Lay Lake, for the hydro, the dam that they have up there, they had problems where the fishermen were bringing in these invasive species of grass to create more ground cover for the fish to live in, so they could get some bigger fish and bigger prize.
So the fishermen were taking it upon themselves to add a little bit to the...
Because the power company would have to go out and spray pesticides all over these things.
Yeah,
to kill the grass.
I do not want that in my drink.
That's delicious.
Really tasty.
But that was that a drinking reservoir? That was not.
I think that this was just a lake. I don't think there was.
That was just that was for power production, not for drinking water.
So Big Creek Lake is a private lake by state law, legislative act, and it's owned by Moz, which is Moz is appointed and constituted by the city government in Mobile. So it's kind of this weird situation where the city of Mobile has this like indirect direct control of this huge body of water out in West Mobile, and has bought up all the property around it. But it is kind of odd where none of these questions have been answered. There's not even been an opportunity to have these discussions even heard, or it was just a unilateral decision from Moz to shut it down. And I think that's what Shane Stringer has been kind of pointing out, is there is no transparency. Moz, he's not, even lawmakers can't come to Moz and say, hey, justify this for us, or explain it to us.
I mean, I can see both sides of this issue. I mean, I do, I wrote my column about it this week, but and I looked up some other places, and it seems the bigger the reservoir, the less concern they have about this. So, you've got some, big lakes that, are like, you can boat on them, ski on them, do all sorts of stuff. That's not a big issue. But a smaller lake, I mean, Big Creek Lake's a nice sized lake, but it's not, it's not humongous. It's 3,200 acres basically. And so there's, I think, a more of a concern that something bad could happen that would really cause a problem with the drinking water.
Yeah.
That said, there are several smaller reservoirs around where they do allow fishing, but they do things like can't have a gas motor there. You have to use an electric motor, or you can only fish from the bank, or things like that. I don't know if that would satisfy. I don't know how much activity there was out on Big Creek Lake either.
I didn't even know people actually used that. I thought it was been closed for a long time.
Yeah. There's been a big, there's groups formed. I think there might be some political candidates who might jump in over this issue.
Yeah.
I spoke with one who said he's planning on looking into what it will take this week to maybe, the city council appoints the Moz board.
Yeah.
So, that'll be interesting to see.
But the Moz board did not vote on this. Right?
Yeah, that was something interesting that we found out, is that, the Moz board was just, when I asked Barbara Drummond, who's the chairman of the Moz board, she just said that we're standing behind
a mayoral candidate.
Yeah.
And state lawmaker.
Yeah, we're standing behind the decision of the Moz staff. So, there was no, actual formal decision by the board to vote, hey, let's do this. Anyway, but all these things you're bringing up, I mean, in any other realm, you would think that these would be the things that would be argued over. You'd bring up these different lakes and what they're doing over here. That's what you would hope. You'd have a public forum and you can argue about these things.
I mean, I do think that on the other side of it, devil's advocate, if you go to Montgomery and say, okay, we're going to make a law that says that the utilities locally that run these lakes can't close them, that takes the decision-making power out of the hands of the people who are trying to ultimately are charged with their number one thing that they're charged with is making sure we have drinking water. And, and then it makes it, okay, well, they can't close it,
Absolutely.
Which also I did bring up my thought was, does that mean that the coal ash pond at Plant Berry is now going to have to be reopened for swimming and fishing? I don't know.
Skiing as well. Skiing and sludge, man.
But I mean, it is seriously though. It does put it up there, and you get then you have bureaucracy in terms of that going on. I mean, the number one thing. I mean, it is. I get that people have grown up. I mean, that lake's been there for 70 years. That people have grown up fishing in it and doing things out there, and it does probably change from people's way of life, that they've grown accustomed to going out there and doing that stuff. But, the number one thing is, making sure that the water is not messed up. I don't know how much damage the fishermen can do to it. I mean, again, Highway 98 runs right across Big Creek Lake. Seems like that's a bigger problem to me, but that's an issue. But anyway, that's something that we're going to see coming forward. Obviously, I think this issue is just getting hotter, and it's going to be, it may be part of the mayoral race or a city council race.
It's super weird though, because, when it's not, most people don't think about Big Creek Lake every day. And, I just have kind of questions about, how big of an issue is it going to get for people in the city. Yeah. It might be a much bigger issue for people around the lake, but
are there beavers out there? That could be a problem too. I don't know. Just all sorts of stuff.
There could be a shark over there.
There could be unusual. That would be unusual activity. It's a freshwater shark.
I would agree.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to call it quits for this week. Thanks for listening to us. We'll be back next Thursday.
Big Creek Shark.
Villagnapod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sounds and Electra Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lanyapmobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.